Good morning, everyone. It's Sal, Stretford Post. How you doing? And welcome to another episode of Breaking Dawn. Hope everyone's doing good. Hope everyone's doing fine. Thank you so much for joining me this morning, you absolute legends. Thank you, guys. Before I start, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you're new. Please don't forget to smash a like on the video. All that jazz. Obviously, notifications on as well. Of course, when I go live, you never know when I go live these days. But thank you so much, everyone who's joining me today, guys. I hope everyone is doing blessed, guys. And before I start, I wanted to bring something in real quickly. Just broke, of course, guys. I just wanted to bring something in real quickly, of course. Let me just bring this in, of course. I just want to say RIP to our ex-goalkeeping coach, guys. Basically, Silvino Loro, who was the goalkeeping coach when Jose Mourinho was around, guys. And yeah, just wanted to pay my respects and say RIP to Silvino Loro and his family, and Godspeed, and blessings to him and his family who worked with Manchester United during Jose Mourinho's period. So moment of silence for Mr. Loro, of course. Okay, now let's get on with the show, guys. I hope everyone's doing blessed. I hope everyone's doing good, guys. Now, look, let's get into some transfer news. Of course, Bruno Guimaraes. There was rumors circulating yesterday about Bruno Guimaraes, in talks with Manchester United. Of course, one thing I would say about these kind of rumors surrounding Manchester United is the fact there is no smoke without fire. Man United are interested in Bruno Guimaraes. It's pretty evident that Man United are interested in Bruno Guimaraes. You know, there's a lot of ins and outs. Are we in talks? Are we on not talks? Talks can happen. Talks can happen behind the scenes. What I'm hearing over here in Italy, actually, is that we have been talking to his entourage. We have been talking to his representatives. That's what I'm hearing over here. Obviously, something contrary to belief yesterday from various journalists that we were not in talks. Manchester United have inquired about the possibility of Bruno Guimaraes coming to Manchester United. Of course, the Newcastle United Brazilian international. Now, look, I've said it from the beginning. I said it when we were first linked to Bruno Guimaraes. I said it many, many months ago when I first heard about Bruno Guimaraes coming to Manchester United, that Manchester United are very interested in Bruno Guimaraes. However, his age is a little bit of a concern. Of course, he's 28, 29 years old. He's not at that age where Man United are apparently looking at that above 26, below 26 sort of criteria that Man United are looking at. Now, Bruno Guimaraes would mark a very, very good signing for Manchester United. Of course, Casemiro has earmarked Bruno Guimaraes as his replacement. And of course he would. Brazilian internationals, friends and stuff like that. He is a good player. Do I feel he is good enough for Manchester United? I think he will be a good player for Man United. Do I think he's the best option for Man United? No, I don't. I don't think that Bruno Guimaraes is the best option for Manchester United. And when we're looking at, he's got an injury record, of course, guys. He's got, you know, his age is against him as well. So that's not going to get any better. I would say that Bruno Guimaraes would be a good signing for Man United. However, I would go for someone a little bit more younger than Bruno Guimaraes, someone that who we can sort of mold into our team and stuff like that, and not just, you know, 28, 29 years old and, you know, coming to the end of his like sort of peak. And look, you know, it would be a great signing if Man United already had a midfield or Man United needed squad players and stuff like that. I mean, Bruno Guimaraes is a very good player. I feel like there are better options out there. And I think that if we are going to go down the road of 26 years old and below, I think we should stick to that. I do think 28, 29 is a little bit over the hill. When you think about players who are 28, 29 years old, the only type of players that I don't mind who are 28, 29 years old is proven goal scorers. They're the only ones, because at the end of the day, a goal scorer, some players, for example, I'll give you an example. Some players like Teddy Sheringham didn't need to move much, but they're very clever and they're very shrewd in the way their positioning is and that. So they didn't have to sprint and run around the pitch like, for example, a midfielder would do. Do you know what I mean? And I would say that, you know, if it was a striker, 28, 29, so I wouldn't mind. But the midfield in the Premier League, I just feel like we need to move away from that, because it's a similar age to when we signed Casemiro. And we need to sign a player for once, guys, for once, by the way, that is, you know, an age where he could be at Man United, he could stay at Man United for many years to come. That is what we should be looking for, in my humblest of opinion. No discount to Bruno Guimaraes' ability. I think he's a very good player. However, there's a few players I'll put ahead of him. I would put Anderson ahead of him. I would put Wharton ahead of him. I would put Stiller ahead of him. There are a number of players out there that I would put ahead of him. You know, I would even say that I would like to bring in a more younger player or your Biodi players of that ilk, Amadou Onana, players of that ilk who I wouldn't mind, guys. I wouldn't mind. I think Man United need to move very cleverly in this market. They need to move shrewdly, and they need to move a little bit more less tunnel visioned, if you know what I mean. We need to look at something that is good, but not going to break the bank as well, because obviously Guimaraes is going to cost 70-odd million. Let's not forget that. At 28, 29 years old, he's going to cost about 70 million. So it's a little bit too much for me, in my opinion. And I feel like there are better options out there, you know, and there are good players up and coming around Europe. You can look at around Europe. You can look at, I even mentioned the likes of Kone, who plays for Roma, these type of players that you can get for cheaper than Guimaraes, you know. Let's not forget, and I've mentioned many, many times, that all these teams around who are buying these players, for example, where did Newcastle get Guimaraes from? And, you know, they took a risk on Guimaraes. It's a bit like Wolves. Where did they get João Gomez from? They took a risk on João Gomez. And, you know, and like Bournemouth are taking a risk on Ryan and stuff like that. You know, but, you know, this is exactly what it is. Man United need to go out there, find a player, find the right profile, find the right personality. Alex Ferguson did the same, guys. Alex Ferguson did the same. He found the right personality. Jaap Stam, for example, Ruud van Nistelrooy, for example, these kind of players, and built them into absolute monsters. Yes, Ruud van Nistelrooy was scoring goals at PSV Eindhoven, but it was not a world-class player like he was at Man United. And Cristiano Ronaldo, who was a prospect. You know, so we need to look at a player and we need to analyze them, and we need to give them a chance and build up our own sort of superstars, if you know what I mean. Yes, we can't take risks on 17, 18-year-olds. What I'm saying is that we need to go out there and get the 22, 23-year-olds who are doing well at the moment. That's what we need to look at, in my opinion, 20 up to 26, I would say. Absolutely. So, yeah, Bruno Guimaraes, apparently Manchester United entourage have spoken to Bruno Guimaraes people. You know, Bruno Guimaraes' entourage have spoken to Manchester United's people. And, of course, we'll wait and see what happens in regards to that. However, I do believe that Man United will be swayed away from the price tag. And also, when you're looking at Newcastle United are not going to want to sell Bruno Guimaraes to Manchester United. That's another thing you have to remember, that Newcastle got this weird obsession with Man United, that we're their rivals. We're not actually Newcastle's rivals. We never have been Newcastle's rivals, maybe briefly in 1996. Other than that, not really. But, you know, I don't think they're going to be wanting to sell to Manchester United, if I'm being totally honest with you guys. I don't. I think it will be a good buy in regards to a short-term move, but as a long-term move, I just don't think it would be a clever move for me. And I like the player a lot. I like his personality. He's got that personality, that South American personality that we all like, of course, guys. Absolutely. Now, guys, before I get into a little bit of more news, don't forget to smash a like, of course. But before I get into a little bit of more news, guys, guys, look, there was a poll going up. There was a big argument going up for what Wayne Rooney said yesterday about Neymar. Now, he said that he never really rated Neymar. Now, look, guys, you know, number one, right, in regards to Neymar, I think he was overrated. I'm sorry, guys. I think he was a little bit overrated. I think he was a fabulous player. But what reminds me about Neymar is he reminds me of JJ Okocha, a skillful player. Yes, he's got good stats. He was a good player, probably world-class at his peak. But I do not for 1 minute think you can compare Wayne Rooney to Neymar. Wayne Rooney was not just a goal-scoring, flashy sort of player. Wayne Rooney was a grinder. Wayne Rooney was a match winner. When you're in the trenches, Wayne Rooney comes out trumps. You know, when you're in the trenches. Neymar, now people start throwing stats and this and that at me and stuff like that when he played in, you know, PSG and things like that. But what I would say is that Neymar is a Timu Ronaldinho, right? That's what I would say, right? Neymar longevity was not there. Neymar was not any club legend. He's not a club legend at Barcelona. He's not a club legend, you know, even where he is at, you know, right now. He's probably not at Santos, you know. So I would say that, yes, Neymar at his absolute peak, and I'm talking about his peak when he was in his 20s, his early 20s, he was a very, very sought after player, of course. But the comparisons to Wayne Rooney for me are just embarrassing. Wayne Rooney is an absolute legend, top scorer of England for a period of time as well. Now, people are going to throw the World Cup at me and stuff like that. And, he only got this many World Cup goals. Nah. Wayne Rooney, professionalism, completely different player to Neymar anyway. But what I would say is that you can't compare Wayne Rooney with Neymar. Although I would respect both players, as I'm speaking not on a biased level, guys. I'm speaking on a neutral level here. You cannot compare Wayne Rooney to Neymar. It's an absolute embarrassment, in my opinion. I don't think you can do that, guys. Look, I understand there is a little bit of a Neymar cult. There is a Neymar fan club. It's a bit like Pogba. It's a bit like a few players out there. Rashford. There is a little bit of a cult with Neymar. Neymar was a party guy. He was not really guys, who is he a legend for? Ask me that question. Maybe he's club in Brazil, but who is he a legend for? Nobody in Europe. You could say Barcelona was a legend for Barcelona, won a Champions League at Barcelona, blah, 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 blah. But with the Messi and Iniesta and Xavi team, that's why, at the end of the day, other than that, was he a legend at PSG? Probably not. No. I would just say that, as much as I admire Neymar and as much as I respect him as a player, as an individual, I love his style of football. I actually think that players in my generation, right, if you're going to be called in Neymar better than Rooney, I would actually say players in my generation, i.e. JJ Okocha, Georgie Kinkladze, sort of mold. Do you know what I mean? And this is no offense because these were very good players. That skillful, tiki-taka sort of player, if you know what I mean. But Wayne Rooney, for me, was a much better player all round, right? A much better player. And I would argue that Wayne Rooney scored much better goals as well. Wayne Rooney's goals are absolutely phenomenal. If I take you back, some of them goals are underrated, how many goals that Wayne Rooney scored and stuff like that. But I would say that the argument came out yesterday. And look, guys, I'm fed up with it. I'll be honest with you. I'm fed up with these kind of things. I wish that Wayne Rooney didn't say anything, because I know for a fact that there are many, many people out there, content creators, social media personalities, bots, whatever it is, that want to play down Man United's legacy, want to play down Man United's history, and want to play down Man United ex-players who were legends at Man United Football Club. This is why when they pick their greatest 11s of all time, you never see Andy Cole, you never see Eric Cantona, and on occasions you never see Cristiano Ronaldo, you never see Roy Keane and stuff like that, even though these players were serial winners and made those players that we're talking about right there look silly, right, at the end of the day, For example, Thierry Henry. Why is Thierry Henry one of the greatest Premier League player in history? Why? He isn't best in assists, he isn't best in goals. So what does that mean? Exactly. So I like to call things as it is. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, Wayne Rooney, all-round guy, all-round player, was a much better player for me, in my opinion. All right. And Neymar, of course, he's going to have his cults and they're going to come at me. That's absolutely fine. That's absolutely great. But yeah, Wayne Rooney is a legend for me and one of the greatest players of all time. I don't think Neymar is one of the greatest players of all time. When I'm thinking of Brazilian players, let me be honest with you. When I'm thinking of Brazilian players and Brazilian players that I admire, there are many Brazilian players that are better than Neymar. Do you want me to go through them? Ronaldo, R9. Rivaldo, another one. I even think Juninho, the Middlesbrough player, won the World Cup as well, by the way. Juninho is a better player than Neymar. Ronaldinho is a better player than Neymar. I would go as far as to say Denilson is a better player than Ronaldo. Romario is a better player than Neymar, should I say? Than Neymar. Sorry, guys. Than Neymar. So there's many out there, of course. And I just think that this is opening up a big can of worms in regards to social media, and people say, no, Neymar, they did them. Nah, man, you guys don't know nothing. You just think that because he's an exciting tiki-taka player, you think that he's better than Rooney. That's it. That's all you do. Because he has a good hairstyle and Rooney looks like what he does, you think that Wayne Rooney weren't a better player than him. Bloody hell. Matt Letizia was more affected than bloody Neymar, guys. And I'm being honest, guys. I'm not being rude here, but I just think he is. Moving on in regards to what Rooney said as well in this interview, he spoke about the 2010 World Cup. he said it didn't feel like a World Cup. It was not a World Cup for him in regards to that. Now, look, a lot of people got outraged by this. A lot of people have been angry by this. Now, I've been watching the World Cup. I mean, I could vaguely remember the 1986 World Cup, but from then, 1990 was the first real World Cup that I really watched. And I went on from there to watch loads of World Cups, of course, to this day. Now, what do I think about the 2010 World Cup? I thought it was the 2010 World Cup was a monumental occasion, the first World Cup in Africa. I wouldn't have put it in South Africa as much as I love South Africa, like guys, especially this community. We've got great South Africans on it. I wouldn't put it in South Africa because it is not the footballing nation in regards to Africa. I would have put it in I don't want to say proper because that's rude, but I mean like a proper footballing sort of a country, which will be a Nigeria, a Ghana, even going to Egypt and these countries, Morocco and stuff like that. When I think about the South African World Cup, it wasn't my favorite World Cup. I didn't enjoy it as much as I made. And I'm not talking about because England did crap and all that. I couldn't care less, to be honest with you. I just felt like it was a little bit boring. There's a lot of kneels in there, and I felt like the atmosphere wasn't great. Like I felt like but having said all that, I don't think there's been a really good World Cup since 2002. And I'll be honest with you, this is my opinion. The last real World Cup that I really enjoyed was 2002 for me. It was 2002. And the one in Japan and South Korea, I enjoyed very much. The Germany World Cup in 2006 was, it was all right. It was all right. It wasn't amazing. I didn't really jump off my seat. But then it was obviously South Africa. Then it was Brazil. I felt that was underwhelming as well. I thought the Brazil World Cup was underwhelming. A lot of teams didn't perform. It was a bit weird. The 2018 World Cup, guys in Russia, I felt like was better. I felt like it was all right. It was okay. However, again, it wasn't up to that level, and obviously 2022, there was just so much virtual signaling. I mean, as much as Qatar pulled up one of the best World Cups since 2002, and that was the best World Cup since 2002. It's actually the Qatar World Cup, and the Qatar World Cup that had all that adversity against them and stuff like that. So I would say that the Qatar World Cup was the best World Cup since 2002 for me, right? And I'm saying this on a non-bias. I have no affiliation with anything at the end of the day. So I would say the 2022 World Cup was the best World Cup since 2002. The rest of them were a little bit meh. You know what I mean? I would say that. And that's no offense, because obviously it's not like 98. It's not like 99. It's not even like, 1990. 1994 World Cup was crap, in my opinion. I didn't like the 1994 World Cup. I didn't like the World Cup in America. I didn't think it felt like America. Diana Ross and all that business. I didn't think it felt like America. Just like the World Cup coming up in 2026 this year, I don't think it feels like a World Cup, even though I'm going to be doing the watch-along. If it goes ahead, of course, given everything what's going on at the moment, I don't know if the World Cup is going to be going ahead, to be fair. But what I would say is that, respect to South Africa. They pulled off a good World Cup for their standards and stuff like that. But I just didn't think, I think South Africa is a rugby place. And I felt like it needed to be in a football place, right? And that's no offense. I know they're trying to spread the game. But as far as I'm aware, South Africa is a rugby place or a cricket place, right? So, and that's what they've been good at. The best at rugby, probably. You know what I mean? And so I would say, yeah, like if it was a Ghana, if it was a Nigeria, if it was anywhere in Africa, to be honest with you, I think it would have been a better atmosphere if I'm being totally real with you guys. And I think that what we got to do, what we got to stop doing in football in general, is that we got to stop policing opinions. Just because Wayne Rooney said that, and Wayne Rooney played in that tournament, right? Maybe it's because Wayne Rooney didn't have a good tournament, right? But because Wayne Rooney played in that tournament, people are jumping up. Because Wayne Rooney has an opinion, people are jumping up and down policing his opinion. You can't say that. You can't say that. He can say that. He's a Man United legend. He can say that. He can have his opinion. You can have your opinion. If you don't enjoy something, you say, I didn't enjoy it. I didn't really like it, to be honest. You enjoyed it. Good for you. And that's how I think it should be. I think so many people are trying to police opinions. It's a bit like when Patrice Evra said Man United haven't played well in 4 games. People go, no, Man United haven't played well in 4 games. How can you say that? I was mentioning it yesterday on Hussam's show, talking about Man United haven't played well in 5 games. You see the comments, oh my God, how can you say that? Mate, I've only been a fan 40 years. You know what I mean? I'm talking realism here. I talk about if you want to be champions, you got to play better than what we're playing, right? At the end of the day, do you want to be champions? Well then, You know what I mean? And that's what I'm saying. You can't keep policing opinions. And I think this is becoming too much, in my opinion, the policing of you can't say this, you can't say that syndrome, you know? And I would say there's nothing wrong with what Rooney said. There's nothing wrong about what Rooney said about Neymar. Perhaps he shouldn't have mentioned the player because obviously when you're thinking about a player, talking about a player, obviously it's a little bit of a sensitive topic and stuff like that, and it opens up a big can of worms. So I wouldn't have done that. But in regards to the World Cup and in regards to South Africa, I thought he had it perfectly entitled to have his opinion. Big up everyone in the stream, guys. I hope you're all doing well. Good to see you, of course. Good to see you. Big up everyone. Big up Sam. How you doing, my friend? Hope you're doing well. Good to see you, my friend. Hope everything is blessed with you, my guy. Hope you're good. Good to see you. Bruno G is a wonderful player, but not always available for Newcastle. Absolutely. That makes him an injury-prone player. We can't have another injury player again. We need player that is available often. Agreed, 100%. Sam. Good morning, Sanjay. Hope you're doing well again. Good morning. Hope you're blessed. Good morning, Gary. How you doing, my friend? Hope you're doing well. Newcastle shut these run was down last night. Doesn't mean it isn't true. And it doesn't mean just because Fabrizio says it isn't true. And I know Fabrizio. So it doesn't mean there is obviously not official talks, but there is obviously discussions with his entourage, which is not official. But that's what I'm hearing in Italy right now. Good morning, All Bars One. Hope you're doing well. Good morning, Sal. Looking forward to the show. Thank you so much, my friend. Don't forget to smash a like as well, of course. Good morning, Sal. Eid Mubarak to everyone who's celebrating, by the way. Eid Mubarak. I hope you have a blessed Eid. Those who are celebrating, of course, have a wonderful Eid, guys. Absolutely. Big up, Gregory. Good morning. Hope you're doing well. Good morning, Benny. Hope you're good, my friend. Hope everything is blessed with you. Ephraim, I like Bruno, guys. We need experienced players in the midfield. Not for that price, mate. I can't see Newcastle sell two of their best players. I'd rather Tonali, like Red Time's saying. But you know what I mean? Pick one player, it would be Hall, since midfield market is large, the window more than left back. I don't know. I don't think I'll discount Tonali. I think Tonali is a wonderful player. I think if I was going to go after any Newcastle United midfielder, it would be Tonali. People talking about we need experience in midfield. Excuse me, we got Casemiro in midfield. You know what I mean? We got to go away from that. We got to go what's good for Man United in the long term. You know what I mean? Not stop buying players at 28, 29 years old, and in a couple of years they can't play anymore. You know? Benny, unfortunately, Sal, players like Teddy are rare now. I agree with you. 25, 26-year-olds should be our eldest player we bring in. Absolutely, Benny. Yeah, Teddy is a very rare, but underrated as well, heavily. I'm going to be honest, I agree. Was he really in the same bracket as Rooney, Rivaldo, and Ronaldo? He wasn't. Yeah. Guys, my generation, people don't understand. Neymar is not even in the top 10 conversation in regards to Brazilians in the last 30 years. He's not. Guys, you want me to go through it? Roberto Carlos, I didn't mention him. Cafu. People actually don't understand how good Brazil used to be. They think that they look at Brazil and they look at Neymar and they think Neymar is the benchmark. Like, you know, should I go through it? You know, if you used to look at Brazil's bench, you wouldn't believe it who they had on their bench. You know, guys, absolutely not. Guys, Ronaldinho's left boot is better than Neymar. Do you know what I mean? I would say that. And when you're talking about R9, we're not talking about Rivaldo. Rivaldo was heavily underrated as well. What a player Rivaldo was. Bebeto, you know, another great player. These players, you know what, some of these players weren't like wow on the eye, but they were effective. Romario wasn't like wow on the eye, but he will put the ball in the back of the net and he'll win you games. And that's what I'm talking about at the end of the day, guys. Absolutely. Like, Neymar was a good, skillful player on the ilk of JJ Okocha, on the ilk of Georgie Kinkladze, like that sort of player. You know what I mean? Skillful. That's it, you know, with a few stats, right? And I would say that it just annoys me that, you know, that people don't really analyze it because a player has a certain amount of PR, you know? LT, big up Sal. Due to his age and price, I doubt we'll go for Gomes. I think we'll be more likely to go for Tonali. I would prefer. We are actually going for Gomes. We are talking to Gomes. Listen to the show, LT. I don't speak shit. Neymar wasted his talent by doing drama on the pitch and partly exactly that, Miss Bunny. Exactly that. You know, he ruined his own career. Like when I talk about, like I spoke about earlier in the show, I spoke about, you know what I mean. I spoke about Neymar when he was young. And when Neymar was young, everyone wanted Neymar. Obviously, you saw some of the goals that he used to score in Brazil. You thought, wow, what a player and stuff like that. And initially, when he came to Europe, he was at Barcelona. He was an absolute monster. And yeah, he was a brilliant player. And but he didn't go to the levels that I expected him to go. Of course, he won a Champions League with Barcelona, but who doesn't? Who didn't win a Champions League with Barcelona? You know, for goodness sake. You know, that Barcelona was that Barcelona at the end of the day. It was still the Messi Barcelona, if you know. And, you know, so I would say that, yeah, look, you know, he's a good player. But as I said, I wouldn't put him in the top 10 players in Brazilian football over the last 30 years. In regards to English football, I would put Rooney in the top 5. I wouldn't even put him in the top. I put him in the top 5 as English football players in the last 30 years. I mean, when Rooney broke through in 2004, for England, I've never seen anything like it. And I'll be honest with you, and I've seen some great players. I've never seen anything like it. You know, it was only an injury to Wayne Rooney that prevented England winning that Euro 2004 tournament because, you know, he had an ankle injury and then we ended up playing Portugal in the semi-final, people know. So, was it a quarter-final? So there you go. And we had 2 or 3 good seasons. Look, guys, look, the thing is that people don't understand is that I call things as they are through experience, right? I've witnessed the Premier League from the beginning all the way to the end. I've seen every single player that's come in, every single player that's left, right? I can tell you players that were better than Neymar that you wouldn't even think about were better than Neymar. Let me give you an example. Juninho, who played for Middlesbrough, I felt he was a more effective, better player than Neymar. Sorry, but he was. You know, and that's what I'm talking about. Now, Henry is, again, PR, Arsenal PR. He was an Arsenal PR player. He was a fantastic player, don't get me wrong, right? But he was an Arsenal PR player, you know? So when we're looking at assists, goals created, all this business, Neymar is not in, Thierry Henry is not in the top. And we have to look at that, you know? And this is a conversation to be had. I love the way they try to squash Man United players down. They always try to squash Man United players down. They always try to silence Man United players and stuff. But, you know, there you go. But in regards to Bruno Guimaraes, guys, I just want to say, Man United have spoken to his entourage. It's not official talks, but Man United have spoken to his entourage. It is true, guys. And, you know, I think that is a kind of deal that Man United, I would not put it past them, even though it's the wrong deal to do. And that's what I would say. It's the wrong deal to do. Absolutely. Benny, I think for nearly 20 years, always some clown trying to play down his contribution. Yet Giggs doesn't get it for, you know what, Benny, every single time I hear things about ex-Man United players, i.e. Ryan Giggs, Paul Scholes, Cristiano Ronaldo, Roy Keane, no matter who you bet, Andy Cole, who didn't take penalties, is still up there as one of the top scorers in Premier League history. Every time I see these pundits talking about ex-Man United players, they don't even talk about them. They try to ignore them. That's what they do. They ignore them and they don't want to put them in the bracket. Andy Cole was better than Thierry Henry. I said it. Andy Cole was better than Thierry Henry. Do you want me to prove it? Do you want me to show some of Andy Cole's goals? Should I show some of that? You know, Roy Keane was better than Patrick Vieira. Roy Keane was better than your central midfielders that they put in there. Roy Keane was better. Paul Scholes was better than Gerrard. Everyone knows that. Zidane says that. Pep Guardiola says that. Henry says that. You know, but no one wants to talk about that. Gerrard was a good player. Wonderful player. Lampard, penalty merchant, free kick merchant, good player, but nowhere near in the ilk of Paul Scholes. And this is what we're talking about. These pundits and ex-players who just want to ignore Man United, you know, but it's not like we dominated football for 26 years, was it? You know what I mean? And it is frustrating. Of course it is, you know? So that's why when I bring in, if I critique a player, if I critique a Man United player, if I critique a manager, I'm not saying it out of bias. I'm saying it because what I witnessed. I would tell you who flopped at Man United. I would tell you who was overrated. I would tell you if he was this, he was this good, he was that good, he was that good. It's like what I was talking about yesterday on Sam's show, right? Did Alex Ferguson, guys, did Sir Alex Ferguson underachieve in Europe? Factually, he did. In 26 years, he underachieved in Europe, considering the players that he had at his disposal. Right? No, I'm not going to hold him accountable for 1993, 1992, 93, 94, because obviously the rules were different. You can only play a certain amount of foreign players, right? So it's difficult. And we couldn't really play that great Man United team of Peter Schmeichel, Paul Parker, Steve Bruce, Gary Pallister, Dennis Irwin, Brian Robson, Paul Ince, Ryan Giggs, Andre Kanchelskis, Eric Cantona, and Mark Hughes. We couldn't play that team. We couldn't play that team because we had a foreign rule. But after that, when you're looking at the teams from 95, 96, when the rules change in Europe, when you're looking at the teams from 95, 96, right, 98, 99, 2007, 2008, Man United should have won more than 2 Champions Leagues. And I said this yesterday, and people are like, oh, you can't say that. You can't say that. Oh, yes, I can, because I witnessed it. 2 Champions Leagues in 26 years was nowhere near good enough. We should have beaten Leverkusen. We should have beaten Dortmund. We should have beaten Monaco. There were many times, guys. And especially when that Barcelona team of the turn of the 2008 odd, 2009 started coming to the fore, we should have won more, especially with Tevez, Ronaldo, and Rooney. I'll give you an example. Man United defeat AC Milan in the Champions League semi-final, but then we lose away 3-0, and then we get knocked out of the Championship. These kind of things, right? These kind of things. Man United should have won. And I would critique where I need to critique. I don't just come on here and start spitting positivity about Man United. I will tell the facts as well. Alex Ferguson, domestically, the best manager ever. Domestically. In the English football, Alex Ferguson is the greatest manager of all time. Sorry. Anyone wants to talk about that, Alex Ferguson is the greatest manager of all time, right? And that is it. Full stop. English football, the best. Right, but when you're thinking on a European level, I look at Ancelotti, you know, how many Champions Leagues he's won and stuff like that, you know. I look at these kind of players, and it pains me to say, like even Bob Paisley and people like that, you know. And I would say that Man United in Europe were not good enough. And you know, I don't just come on here saying Rooney was the greatest player of all time. Rooney. Oh, he's better than everyone. I don't do that. What I'll say is better than Neymar. You know what I mean? And I'll say that factually, he's better than Neymar. If I was to be put into a game right now, if someone said to me, now, right, Sal, we're playing a Champions League final, right? Who would you rather in your attacking lineup? Rooney or Neymar? Peak Rooney or Neymar? Rooney all day long. Sorry. That's just it. You know what I mean? And that's what I would say about that. Morning, mate. How you doing? Hope you're doing well. Rooney Neymar was astronomically better than Rooney. What, in clubbing, partying, drinking? Which one? Marcus, big up, Marcus. Morning, my big up, sir. Hope you're doing well. Good to see you. Big up, Kenny. How you doing? 2020, in the end, it was rigged, yeah, but it was better than the 2010 World Cup. Big up, Sanjay. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're blessed. Max, good morning. Hope you're well. As an Argentinian, I've been waiting for Argentina to win. So I was 6, so I love 2002. 2002, 22, I felt like I know it was rigged, Max. I live in the Middle East. I'm not there at the moment, but I do. But there was a couple of games there was a little bit sus. Let's be honest. Let's look at that Holland game. Yeah, that was a little bit sus to me. But congratulations to Argentina, guys, and big up the Argentinian team who won it, of course. And but what I would say is that I enjoyed the 2022 World Cup more than I enjoyed the 2010 World Cup. There was something about the 2010 World Cup just seemed forced. I don't know about it, guys. And I was looking forward to it. Obviously, as you know, I do the watch-alongs for the AFCONs and stuff like that. I was looking forward to the World Cup in Africa. It just didn't seem like, you know, even an African tournament, it didn't have that flavor to it. It was just like a little bit forced to me. And I know a number of people went to that tournament, actually, and they didn't enjoy it. Big up, man. Dem, how you doing? Morning, Sal. Let's get the win today and secure. Yeah, Man United are playing today, by the way, guys. If you haven't checked out my match preview, guys, it's online now. Check it out, guys. Very important. Absolutely. Good to see you. Kenny, Neymar has had a World Cup tournament, but shame he chose money over football. Yeah, that's the problem. See Bruno Guimaraes as a cherry on the top of the cake. If we get Anderson Tonali first, then Wharton and Guimaraes next, that'll be okay. Newcastle have a difficult team to negotiate with. But the problem is, Nightman, if when you sign players like Bruno Guimaraes, when you sign these type of players, you know, he's 28, 29. Would he be willing to sit on the bench and things like that? This is what we have to look at as well. Because when players reach a certain age, they want to play international football. They want to go to World Cups and stuff like that. I just feel like Man United need to aim younger. I just feel like that. And I think the price tag of Guimaraes, 70, 75 billion is too much. We could fix our fullback positions. we can get a midfielder like, as you said, Anderson in there, Tonali in there, who are going to be at Man United for a number of years and not a couple of years. Do you know what I mean? Because by the time the player reaches about 30 years old, that's when you start seeing players decline, isn't it? At the end of the day, Tonali over Bruno G all day long. I agree. Tonight, as Tonali, I think we should go for Anderson. He's great. Both of them wouldn't I wouldn't mind Beef Bully. Both of them. The most important ability in football's availability. I get you. Absolutely, Gregory. No problem, Gregory. I get you. It's true. The most important ability is availability. Yeah. You need a little bit of talent, though, as well. Max, good morning. Had Casemiro. He's already said he's leaving. Yeah, we have Casemiro, but we're talking about signing experienced players earlier on in the show. We've had Casemiro. We need someone a little bit younger so that we can have a young player that moves on, that can move us on, of course, for a long time. Is Tonali world class? Yes. Also, I take Kudus and Bowen to us agree. No, Kudus and Bowen are shit. Sorry. They're both crap. I'm an Englishman, and Bowen is very, very. Bowen is crap, mate. No, mate. And Bremo's a lot better than Bowen and things like that. I would say no to Bowen. I mean, if Bowen was a squad option, but he's going to cost a lot of money, I would say yeah, but nah, man. Nah, Kudus overrated. No, thank you. 24 likes, guys. What's going on? Let's get to that 50 likes. Let's get to the 50 likes, guys. Please. Zico, Socrates, Dunga. Zico's a long time ago. Dunga was a defensive midfielder. Dunga was a very good player, but this is exactly what I was saying about certain players, i.e. in the ilk of Dunga, that they're not glamorous players, but Dunga won the 1994 World Cup, didn't he? Against that very good Italian team, by the way, with Roberto Baggio and Gianfranco Zola and, all these Casaraghi and all these players, of course. So I would say that there are a number of players in the top 20 Brazilian players of all time that are better than Neymar. Neymar, in history of Brazilian players, and if I'm not talking about the last 30 years, isn't even in the top 30 of Brazilian players, isn't. And sorry, but it is. Those who think Neymar's better than Rooney don't understand the game. They don't understand the game. They really don't. Football's more than just tiki-taka pretty football. You know what I mean? Probably the newly generation of people started watching World Cup very, very late. Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? They don't really understand. Gregory, do you remember how well fat Ronaldo from Brazil went playing with two very good damaged knees? Yeah, you remember Gregory in 2002 when he had two very bad knees and still won the bloody World Cup and played the tournament. That's what I'm talking about. Do you know what I mean? And that's it. If people know Ronaldo, R9, if they understood how good Ronaldo was at his peak, there's no one that touches R9. There's not. The problem with R9 is that he had a serious knee injuries, right? And went to Inter Milan, had the serious knee injuries, but still had a fabulous career, still went to Man United. I remember him playing against Man United back in 2003, scored a hat-trick at Old Trafford, right? The finished Ronaldo, by the way. That's what I'm talking about. There's levels to this game, guys. There's levels to this game. And Ronaldo obviously won a couple of World Cups, was in the World Cup squad in 1994. People don't remember, but he was. Came second in 1998, won the 2002 World Cup. The guy's an absolute beast. When you're talking about Neymar is a flashy commercial type of player that's sponsored by Pepsi. That's Neymar. You know what I mean? That's it. And that's all he is. That's why we keep saying the board has to really be smart in the summer. There are good deals that we can make that enable us to have a good window. There are, Mandem, and there's a good deals that we can have that can help bolster our squad as well, because we need a bigger squad, don't we? It's not just about buying Gamiris for 75 million and buying Anderson for 90 million. And that's it. We need to fill up the squad as well, because you're looking at the players that are leaving, and we got Champions League football, and we got FA Cup football, and we got League Cup football. We need to build a squad. Absolutely, Mandem. Big up. Mandem, of course. Paolo Roberto Falcao. Oh, very old. I agree, Sal. Rooney is better player than Neymar. He is, yeah. For me. Let's get the likes at minimum 50. Thank you, Mandem. Legend. Guys, listen, we need to get it. Helps with the algorithms. When you click like on that video, right? On this video, it helps move it up and get it to other people. So if you could just subscribe to the channel, smash a like on the video. Let's get those likes up, guys. Let's keep moving them forward, of course, guys. Absolutely. So back then, Man U did not care about England doing to Man United didn't care. Man United, never say Man U, Beef Bully. If you know your stuff, don't say Man U. Never say Man U. Never say Man U. Let me tell you that right now. Learn your history. Man United about England. Man United and England are separate entities. Marcus, I want us to buy players who are going to stay healthy. Exactly. Gurish is good, but I just want a midfielder who will stay healthy, like Bruno Fernandes. Exactly, Marcus. I do agree. Like I said, Man United, I wouldn't put it past them to make a deal for Guimaraes. This is what I'm talking about. I've heard Man United have spoken to Guimaraes' entourage. I don't think it's the right move for Manchester United. It's not. Absolutely not. I want us to pay good, but who are going to stay healthy. Guimaraes is good, but I just want midfielders who want to stay healthy. Scholes could not tackle. So what? So what? So what if Scholes could not tackle? Was he a number 6, Beef Bully? Correct me if I'm wrong. Could Gerrard tackle? Could Lampard tackle? Hell no. Only way that's like saying I like Rivaldo, but he can't tackle. It's weird. Only way to do Beef Bully, you're having a stinker this week, mate. Only way to get to both players from Newcastle is if we or both of them push for the move by handling in transfer request. I don't want Guimaraes, to be honest with you. I don't. I'll be honest with you, man. I don't want him. I think he's a fabulous player. I just think that it's a short-term option. I think Man United need to look at long-term options. I do. I think Man United should be looking at Tonali. Man United should be looking at Anderson, Wharton, Stiller, these type of players for me. That's what I would be saying. And I'm not sticking my nose up at Guimaraes. I'm having a critical opinion about it because we have to look at the fact that we purchased Casemiro around that age, didn't we? I think he was even younger. So what we got to look at is that how long is he going to be at Man United for in the Premier League at a competitive level? And that's what we need to look at. Is Guimaraes the right guy? He's 28, 29, playing in the Premier League, a little bit injury prone. And as we know of injuries, when you get to that age of 30 years old, the injuries start creeping up more potently, if you know what I mean. Marcus, Sal, you got a very good point about Sir Alex and his lack of European success. I always said to myself, why don't we have more Champions League trophies? All good though. Yeah, look, at the end of the day, there were a number of disappointments in regards to the Champions League, in regards to unlucky. When we had players sent off, we were unlucky. The offside against Porto with Paul Scholes, he was offside and blah, blah, blah. And there were a number of unfortunate episodes, but a lot of them as well we brought on ourselves in regards to team selection. Like I would always talk about the 2 finals against Barcelona. Yes, those 2 finals against Barcelona, we were playing against probably the best team in history, right? I understand that. But think about this. In 2008, Man United played that same Barcelona team, very similar, twice, right, in 2 legs. And we won, right? But how did we win? We won by playing pragmatic football. We won by playing very defensive and keeping it tight. And that's what we needed to do against Barcelona in Rome and at Wembley Stadium. We needed to do that, but we didn't. We played Ryan Giggs in the midfield and stuff like that. And we made silly little mistakes like that, which was naive. And Alex Ferguson even said it himself. He made mistakes. This is the thing. Alex Ferguson said it himself. He said it about the Barcelona final. He should have played Jason Park or Messi, things like that. He made mistakes, yeah, and he admitted it. He knows he did. 2 European Cups in 26 years is not good enough. You know what I mean? And if anyone wants to gaslight me into thinking that's good, and thinking that, he's unlucky. No, I don't want to hear it. It was not good. But is Alex Ferguson the greatest English manager of all time? Yes, he is. Do I criticize Alex Ferguson about the Glazers? Yes, I do. I call things as they are, guys. We do not live in a world with clouds and rainbows and fluffy clouds and whatnot. We have to call things as they are, right? Alex Ferguson is the greatest English manager of all time. Not English manager, English football of all time. Scottish manager of all time, right? That's what I would say, you know? I don't know who Ia times Man Shaq is, mate. I don't know who that is. Neymar is astronomically better than... I think you should go to bed, Beef Bully. Neymar is astronomically better than Rooney in regards to perspective on football. In regards to what? Perspective on football? Again, what? Clubbing and drinking? Is that his perspective on football? No. Rooney is a much better player than him. And everyone would probably agree about that. Neymar is not even in the top 50 of Brazilian players of all time, mate. You sound like a chuff monster. Once upon a time at Old Trafford, Cristiano Ronaldo, Wayne Rooney, and Carlos Tevez were in front line of Manchester United, the greatest front line of all time. Better than Suarez, Ronaldo. Was it Suarez, Neymar, and Messi? I think Ronaldo, Tevez, and Rooney was the best front three of all time. I actually think it was the best. Ed, I don't think he does, mate. It's all right, though. Everyone's entitled to their opinion. Football's a democracy at the end of the day, isn't it? Some people like Slipknot. Some people like Aqua. It's just life, isn't it? Monts and Rants and Bants say Neymar is on the same level as Ronaldinho. Oh, God. No. Ronaldinho is one of the most skillful players I've ever seen in my life. Won a World Cup almost single-handedly. I also like Neymar when he burst into the scene, but wasn't consistent enough to be in the legends category exactly of players, because Ronaldinho was levels above him when it came to skill and came to achievements. Yeah. Ed, I respect your opinion. That's it. Welcome to Stretford Post. Right? We have a banter, but I respect your opinion. If that's what you think, fine. I think Rooney's better. That's my opinion. I can't change your opinion, mate. I can't force you not to like Aqua. I can't do that. But that's just at the end of the day. Old Trafford stood up and clapped him off R9, off of that hat-trick. Strikers are not built like him anymore these days. Hopefully, we will get to see one more strike. Look, guys, I would argue that Ronaldo, R9, is the best striker that I've ever seen at his peak. I would argue that with anyone. But I would also argue that we tend to celebrate players who have the best PR. And I think that's where people go wrong. Because they got the best PR, they're better than everyone else. Andy Cole is one of the best strikers I've ever seen in my life. But he never gets mentioned in the top category of strikers. Right? Never. No one wants to mention Andy Cole. No one wants to mention Mark Hughes, to Eric Cantona. No one wants to mention these players because they're not PR players. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, they didn't have a mohawk, and things like that, And that's what I'm talking about. Bebeto, Romario, Rivaldo, Juninho, Leon. Juninho of Middlesbrough was even better. Ronaldo, bench 94 World Cup. That's just scratching the surface. Even Adriano for Inter was solid for a short period of time until we went into other things. No name is nowhere near legendary. Sorry, he's not. He's legendary PR guy. That's what he is. He's a legendary modern day footballer, but he's nowhere near proper legend. Absolutely. Sanjay, you're right, Sal. There's so many Brazilian players who are way better than Neymar. Neymar skillfully, in initial stages, when he first started in football and coming through Brazil, Santos, and I think Corinthians, Santos came from, then he ended up coming to Europe, was good. But he let the fame get to him. A little bit like Ronaldinho in the end. And yet Ronaldinho had a very good career, and Ronaldinho would carry teams. Neymar would not carry teams. This is the thing. That's what I'm talking about. Rooney would carry Man United at times. Let's be honest, guys. Rooney would carry Man United at times in our worst time. Now, would Neymar carry Man United? No. And we rejected the chance to sign him, didn't we? Benny was at the game at Old Trafford and R9 got his hat-trick that night. He was unreal. We clapped him off the pitch. When have you ever seen that before? Did Neymar ever get that at any ground? Exactly that. And when you look at that Ronaldo R9, that was the finished Ronaldo, Benny. That was the finished Ronaldo, apparently. You know what I mean? He was unstoppable. I know. Guys, by the way, Benny, I have a little bit of an ill feeling about that game because I remember Barthez. Barthez was rubbish, man. Honest to God. I mean, the one that Ronaldo, there's one at the beginning, the first goal, when Ronaldo hit it in the near post, if you remember, because I was at the game as well, but he hit it in the near post. And I was at the front row of the Stretford end. And I felt that he should have saved that. All day long, he should have saved that. And then there was that other goal from 30 yards, which was his hat-trick goal. And you look at Barthez positioning, and you think about it, it was awful positioning. I don't know. Maybe I'm clutching at straws, but I just felt like Barthez was awful in that game, you know. Mandem. Yesterday on Twitter, fans were saying that Anderson, Tonali, Gomes are smokescreens for us to only sign Baleba in the summer. People don't have any confidence on the board. Yeah, this is justified, Bandem. You're absolutely right. You're perfectly 100% right. This is justified. Don't trust this board. Don't trust Ineos. Don't trust the Glazers, because why would you? It's like I always said, walking through hell blindfolded, expecting not to get burned. We can only discuss the players that we're being linked to, but don't be surprised if Ineos let us down this summer. Don't be surprised about that. If they let us down, it's no surprise to me. You know, as you said there, we'll be linked to Anderson, Wharton, Stiller, Tonali. We'll get Baleba. And then next season, we'll be saying, you know what? We shouldn't really sign Baleba. We should have got a Tonali. We should have got someone like that. Manchester United, England national team. England, when the World Cup is on, of course, I support England. I'm English. I'll support England. But Man United head and shoulders every single day. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. He's had a stinker yesterday as well. Like this comment. Luis Suarez, Colombian. Do you rate him? Mate, I need a degree to understand your comments, Beef Bully. You know what, Beef Bully? Beef Bully, what's happened? You used to be quite intelligent. Luis Suarez is not Colombian. He's not, my friend. He's Uruguayan. I don't know. I just give up. Everyone's entitled to opinion. Look, guys, everyone. Can I just say something? No insults, yeah? No insults. We have a joke, we have a laugh, but this is a footballing opinion. Hopefully you're all Man United fans. I would like to think so, but it's a footballing opinion, and we don't really delve into that anymore. We used to, but anymore we're not going to do that anymore. Pep is the greatest manager of all time collectively. Yes, people, I agree with that. I agree he's better than Pep, yeah. Alex Ferguson, is the greatest manager of all time. Yeah, I agree with that, 100%. Because Alex Ferguson, and I know Man City fans are going to cry and they scream and shout and they get defensive. Alex Ferguson did it with kids. Alex Ferguson won European trophies and with Aberdeen and stopped the monopoly of Celtic and Rangers in the Scottish League. You know, LT, in terms of Newcastle, I'll take Tonali and Lewis Hall. I would as well. Ineos does not need to be smart about what they do with the midfielders, and I hope they're going for free, not two. I agree. Yeah, I agree. I hope it is free and not two, because, you know, when you're looking at it, you know, we need a lot more, don't we, and stuff. Benny, agree on Barthez that night, yeah. Barthez, Marcus, Barthez all day long. Barthez. Because I'll tell you why I picked Barthez over Onana, because I've seen Barthez make some amazing saves. Amazing saves. I haven't seen that with Onana. I've seen Barthez be one of the most inspirational goalkeepers in the World Cup I've ever seen in 1998 when he won the World Cup with France. I haven't seen that with Onana. I think the problem with Barthez, he was just too short and his positioning was wrong. I felt like every single time you'll see Barthez, he'll always be way out of his line, and he was already short, right? So that makes it harder to save. And I think that was the problem with Barthez, his height. And he was a little bit erratic. I'll take it back to the game at Highbury against Arsenal once when he kept giving the ball away to Henry, and Henry clean through goal, you know, and things like that. He would do bozo moments. They're very close, but I would say that I would pick Barthez all day long because Barthez is actually out there achieving things. He's actually won a World Cup, you know what I mean? Absolutely. Sporting Lisbon, Suarez, great player. I don't. You're random. You're very random, Beef Buddy. Gregory, since you were talking about great Brazilian players, Rivaldo, Ronaldinho, Edmilson, Roberto Carlos, and Junior de Souza were all better than Neymar. Yeah, Cesar Sampaio, all these players, Dunga, all better, in my opinion. Yeah, Marcus. Other than Andy Cole being a United player, I think he caught heat at times because he needed a lot of chances in order. But he got in those chances, though, didn't he? Still top scorer, order to score a goal. But that's okay because you want your striker to have a short memory after a miss. He used to get in those chances when other players wouldn't get in those chances. I've also seen Andy Cole score scissor kicks from 25 yards. He's I think he's the best striker in Premier League history. And I think it goes way under the radar. I think Andy Cole goes way, way under the radar. And I think he's criminally underrated, you know? Criminal. Didn't take penalties as well, by the way. No name calling, challenge the opinion, not the man. Exactly. Let's all remain respectful. Exactly. Sir Alex is the greatest manager of all time. Agree, Sal. Absolutely, Ephraim. Barthez had stinkers too, but he was obviously better than Nana. Yes, he was. But Nana's the worst goalkeeper in Man United history, mate. I would say that. Kofi, Barthez would have saved one of those Grimsby penalties. Bruno Biden and Redondo are good, shrewd signings to look at. They are, shout out, yeah, I know about them. Mate, mentioned them on the show before anyone knew who they were, Kofi, of course. Yeah, not many players I haven't mentioned on this show, to be honest with you. Just hope that Man United make the right choices and sign the right players going forward, because obviously we need a squad. We don't just need star players, we need the squad as well. So that when we're rotating in the League Cup, in the FA Cup, in the Champions League and stuff like that, you know, we have a squad that can cope with it. At the moment, when you're looking at Man United's squad, it is quite concerning that Man United haven't got a strong enough squad at the moment. And I hope Man United do sign about 8-9 players. I don't think we will. I don't. Which is why Man United are looking at players that can play in a number of positions, and that's what they're doing. They're signing players that can play in a number of positions, so they don't have to sign as many players as we need. Of course, they're trying to find a way around it. Ephraim, you are a better scout than Big Up Sal. Big up, Ephraim. Thank you so much, my friend. Yeah, I am a better scout than the Man United scouts. Yeah, I will find them a loads of gems if they want at affordable prices as well. If they employed me, I'll go out there and find you a couple now in Italy where I am if you wanted me to. Absolutely, I would, and they'll be cheap. I already know about the youth systems here and stuff like that. I was speaking about AC Milan's youth system a while ago as well, you know, and I was talking about how Man United should scout over here, look at the youth teams and stuff like that and pick up gems. We don't really do that. We're very tunnel visioned in what we do. Also, Sal, are Man United linked to any backup goalkeepers? Because buying theirs Heaton. As far as I'm aware, United Mandem, is that Man United might give an opportunity to VTech. The problem with VTech is that VTech wants first team football, which Man United can't promise him. Obviously, Senna Lamens is one of the best goalkeepers in Europe at the moment, in my opinion. People want to I'm going to be proven right about that one. But VTech is an option. Man United are going to try and convince him to stay. Heaton's leaving, Bayinder's leaving as well, and the young lad is leaving as well in the youth on loan. So yeah, Man United need a new goalkeeper. This is what we're talking about. Like, you know, Man United needs so much doing in every single position on the pitch, almost, isn't it? It's madness. Did United acquire Andy Cole? Yes, January 1995. Yes, they did. We gave him Keith Gillespie. I was a little bit. It was a bit bittersweet for me because I liked Keith Gillespie. If you remember, only a few weeks earlier, Man United beat Newcastle 2-0, and Gillespie scored one where he buried it in a corner. If you remember, he done an amazing run and he buried it in the corner, you know. And it was a bittersweet deal, but it was probably one of the best signings we've ever made is Andy Cole. And I find it disappointing how much he goes under the radar. I do, and you know what? It's injustice in football the way they talk about Man United, ignore Man United players. It's really bad. Maybe if Andy Cole played more times for England, maybe England might have won the Euro 96. Maybe England might have won 1998 World Cup. Who knows? One thing's for certain, at that time, Andy Cole needed more of an opportunity, you know, at the end of the day. And England seemed to be one-dimensional with their selection policy. Hope Vidic comes back. I do as well. I mean, it needs competition, but I'm so proud of Lamens. I think Lamens has been the best goalkeeper in the league this season, in my opinion. I think at his age, what he's doing at the moment, just as I predicted before we signed him, is absolutely brilliant. You know, I think it's fantastic. And long may it continue. But Vitek to be number 2, absolutely. Gregory, Lamens, we need a competent backup because if we get an injury, God forbid, we need a goalkeeper that's competent. Everyone knows how important goalkeeper is. If we don't sign a goalkeeper, it'll be better. Good. I saw that VTech wants guaranteed starts, which I see being tricky with Lemens on the board. I would be good, though, for competition and rotation, if so. Many games this season. If we're playing a lot of games this season, when you're looking at the League Cup and you're looking at the FA Cup, we need VTech, but VTech is nowhere near on the levels of Lemens. Different type of goalkeeper as well, by the way. He's more like a sort of modern day goalkeeper than Lamens is the old school goalkeeper. Now, I've always believed that the old school goalkeeper is better, for Man United, like the Van der Sars and the Peter Schmeichel sort of thing. I do think that Vitek is a good goalkeeper, and I think he'd be a competent backup. We need 90% specialists in their position and 10% utility players, because too many utility players compromise the quality of the squad. We need more numbers of quality. We need more numbers in quality than we go into a utility. Yeah, but this is the problem with Man United. They're looking at utility, isn't it? I'll always give props to you and Metch, because you were the only ones to mention that, I was the only one, Mandem. I mentioned it before him. So, goodness me. I was the first one to mention it, mate. Tonight we win 2-0, Sal, Fernandes and Sesko. I hope so, mate. I really hope so. Really do. Yeah. Jack, if we have no Briars for Rashford, why not try him under Carrick? Because he's not good enough, mate, and his attitude is bad, mate. One thing that Ruben Amorim did good, Jack, is that getting rid of the toxic attitude at Man United and the noise at Man United. And let's not be delusional. Rashford was noisy, and Rashford, I feel like sometimes in life, things just move on. And I think we need to move on from Marcus Rashford. And I would sell him myself. Look, guys, there's obviously talk about Casado, a swap deal with Rashford, or Alejandro Balde, a swap deal for Rashford. But what I would say is it's going to be difficult to do swap deals, obviously, with FFP and PSR, obviously, because Marcus Rashford is a homegrown and Man United get full profit on Marcus Rashford. However, that doesn't mean you can't do a swap deal. You still can do a swap deal. But it's more costly. For example, if Marcus Rashford, we swap Marcus Rashford with Casado, if Casado's worth 25 million, what they kind of do, if I'm not wrong, right, what they do is that they say Rashford is valued at 30 million, Casado's 25 million, they add that together, and that goes onto our FFP. And that's what happens. So instead of being a, swap for swap, like for like, they add the valuation of Casado onto our FFP and PSR, and that comes off of our FFP and PSR. So it's a little bit difficult to do swap deals and stuff like that. That's the one thing. Kind of like. Have a fantastic day. Thank you so much, FM. You too. We either win by 2-1 or 3-2. It's going to be a difficult game. I don't think Bournemouth have lost many games, this season at home in particular. I don't think. Man, them. No, we move on from Rashford, and Barca should stop being cheapskates. They keep on glazing Rashi and mention how for a quality player that don't want to pay his fees. Absolutely. But guys, look, what I was saying in regards to sending amends is a perfect example of scouting, of finding the right player. Now, I mentioned sending amends. The reason I mentioned sending amends a long, long time ago is because I knew sending amends from a guy who knows him. And I knew about sending amends a long time ago, right? And it was like literally when he was in his teens, right? He was up and coming then. And I saw him. I kept an eye on that player. He's going to be a good goalkeeper. And before we signed him, I think I was the first one, obviously talking about sending amends, and I was saying that we should sign him instead of Emi Martinez, instead of other goalkeepers. The reason I was saying that is because Emi Martinez is a fantastic goalkeeper, but Sending Lamens has a higher ceiling, and he reminds me of a Man United goalkeeper. I was calling him the young Courtois. I was calling him the young Petr Cech a long time ago before he signed for Man United, and Man United needed to sign him. We did sign him, and we have not regretted it, have we? He's not made a mistake. Some people blame him for a couple of goals. I don't. I think that people just want to throw shade on it because they preferred another goalkeeper. Every time we walk into a football match now, I feel comfortable. I don't feel like I felt last season when we had Onana, right? I don't feel like that. But that's exactly what I'm talking about. You can find gems out there. You can find players that are not going to break the bank, that will do a job for Man United that are quality. Just like we used to do back in the day with Henning Berg or Ronnie Johnson and these type of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, Peter Schmeichel to an extent. Just like we used to do back in the day, I think this is what Man United need to do now, is find the right player. It doesn't matter if they're the glamorous player, the £70 million player. It just needs to be the right player, right? And when you look at players and you analyze players, a lot of people can know the difference. You know what I mean? What's the right player for Man United, you know? But guys, thank you everyone who's joined me. I really appreciate it. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Please don't forget to smash a like on the video. Don't forget to put your notifications on as well. That'd be absolutely fantastic, guys. Thank you for your support. I will be on Judge Mo's channel later on, guys, at 5 p.m. UK, around that time, 5 p.m., 5:15. And then that'll be taking me on to the watch-along, guys, between Man United and Bournemouth. So, long night, but thank you everyone who's going to be with me. I really appreciate you. Let me just read these last couple of comments. Lamit's the only current conceding bangers. He does the basics right, and also, I mean, no one would save the bangers that, you know, that he let in. That some people say should be saved. Bournemouth drawn 5 and win 1 in the last 6. It's going to be a difficult game, especially at their ground, which we haven't won at in a while. Yeah, I think it was Jose Mourinho was the last time, LT, but we're also grinding results out and winning. Absolutely. Gregory, Sal, one player to score a penalty kick, Irwin, Cantona, or Van Nistelrooy. Can I be honest with you? Cantona, probably. But Irwin was brilliant. Van Nistelrooy would move. I remember that Arsenal one, Gregory. It just plays on my mind. If he scored that, there would be no Invincibles. If Ruud Van Nistelrooy scored that. Game after 12 hours. Big up, Jack. Hope you're well. Good to see you. I will be there. Thank you, FM. Big up, everyone. Try and join me for the match watch along, guys. It's great fun. We have a good conversations on here and stuff like that. Don't forget to join me for that. Have a great day, great night, great evening, wherever you are in the world. I'm Sal. This is Breaking Dawn. I shall see you for the. I'll see you on Judge Mo if you join me for that, and also for the watch along the Stretford Post, guys. So have a good one. Take it easy. Subscribe, like to all the channels I'm on, and guys, thank you so much for your support. Take it easy, please.